Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the JBDC Virtual Biz Zone. My name is Sansia Campbell, and I'm the Partnerships and Events Coordinator here at the Jamaica Development Corporation. This morning, we are going to move into the second part of the series on digitization with a new topic, marketing trends, looking at marketing trends and how you boost your online profits. But before we jump into that, I just want to apologize for the absence of my video this morning. We're having a bit of technical challenges, and as such, you won't be able to see my beautiful face today, but it's okay because you'll hear my wonderful voice. All right. Once again, we have with us Mr. Christopher Derrill. If you recall, if you were here in last week's session, we had a very robust session looking at audience engagement and how you move from clicks and likes to actual cash in the bank. And so this week we're going to be looking at some strategies how you can boost those online profits as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Darrell. But before I do, just a reminder that the session is recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Ask any questions you would like to ask, and we will make it an interactive session as usual. So it's over to you, Christopher.
Let me get started. Okay, good morning, everyone. Very much a privilege to be back again, to be invited back again, just to discuss more on what we started last week and are going into this week. Today is going to be more of a discussion, and I'm also looking forward to hearing a bit more about your businesses and where you are in this journey. Because once we talk about trends, one of the points that we're going to talk about today is how do you find a trend that fits your business, right? It's not every trend that we're supposed to jump on because not every trend is for your business, nor will it fit your brand. And so today we will be having a lot more discussion. There will be some presentation, but a lot more discussion. And for those of you who likely have to jump, before the end, I really do hope that you can stay. I noticed that many of the persons who were on last week are actually back today, right? And thank you. Thank you for coming back. But also, there's going to be a giveaway at the end for one of you who was on last week and is on this week again. If you weren't here last week, that's okay. We have stuff for you as well. All right, so let's jump right in. Okay, we should be good to go. And today we're going to be talking about making use of these business trends. So what we're going to talk through today, we're going to start at the fundamentals. Why are you in business? And the assumption is, again, that most of you are small businesses or representatives of larger businesses, but you have a small department that you're heading, or you're interested in business. So we're going to start with that. And then we're going to look at key trends related to that, to your business. Then we're going to look at building a branch out, right? And I'll explain what that means at the end. Very, very important and near and dear to my heart. And then any next steps at the end. What you can expect to learn from this are a couple practical steps that you can use in finding trends that are relevant to you. But also you may just grab a couple nuggets from today about things that you can apply to your business this week. And that is my hope for you, regardless of the stage of your business, whether you're a product or a service-based business. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm looking forward to this session. But first of all, before we go any further, the question is, why are you in business? So again, interactive. I'd like to hear a couple answers from you all on the core purpose of your business.
Okay, you can just go ahead and stick your hand up and I will unmute you.
Okay, I see Lorna's hand is up.
Okay, Lorna, you may go ahead. Heard Lorna on the radio earlier what is it, Sunday afternoon, Lorna?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. That's a privilege. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So thank you so much. So I am in business to build transformation, positive and confident transformation to my clientele, and to build on social skills. So it's not just for me to make a profit, which is why a lot of us are in, because there should be a return for our services. And I'm trying to build confidence. The transformation, we're transitioning from, say, for instance, you're coming from training, your territory education, and you're going into a new job, a new role. How do you make that happen? How do you make that transition from the classroom to the working world? I build confidence there. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorna. I'm going to comment on something you said, but I'm going to also ask for some other responses. That was a very clear response. So the question is, not the trick question, why are you in business? If you don't want to unmute, please feel free to just drop your answer in the chat and I'll be able to read it from there. I have it right up in front of me so I can pull it up. The question is, why are you in business? And again, I'm seeing some names that we would have spoken to last time. I see Nikisha is back. Shania Floyd is back. Jamie is back. So why are you in business? Some of you may be driving. Please don't unmute if you're driving. Just keep driving. But we'll just take two more. Davia is back. Shari is back. Jan's here. Okay, I see Tanya. Tanya's hand is up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So one of the main reasons why I'm in business, separate apart from, wanting profits and all of that, I've always had a passion and a knack for what I do. I used to do it free of cost since I was in high school. And when I went into the corporate world, I was still doing it. And I've always felt drawn to it. So when the opportunity came for me to leave the corporate world, I took it up without a second thought because I knew my passion was somewhere else.
Okay. So you definitely nailed what we're going to discuss. You mentioned passion. You mentioned being able to earn from it. You mentioned that you used to do it for free. I'm going to come back to that. Thank you, Tanya. Carlene. So I see Carlene's hand is up and I see Jamie.
Yes, sorry about that. I am driving. I noticed that the chat is disabled, so I wasn't able to put driving in the chat. Nevertheless, I started my business because I felt that there was something more for me than what I was doing in my 9 to 5. And I just wanted the freedom to tap into my skills and the giftings that I have. And I felt going into business for myself would have been the best way to accomplish that because I wasn't finding the fit that I needed in the regular 9 to 5 environment.
Okay. All right, that is good. You answered two questions. You answered both why are you in business now and what led you into business. So thank you. And I see Jamie. Thank you, Carlene.
Thank you. Good morning, Christopher. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I've taught for a number of years, both locally and overseas. And while I was teaching overseas, the opportunity came to teach online as an extra source of income. So when I returned to Jamaica, it was still face-to-face for me until the pandemic came. And then I was made redundant at my workplace then. So I had to figure out a way to earn, to provide for myself, my family, pay the bills, etc. So I started a homeschool program where I would go to different homes and homeschool the children. This was in the height of the pandemic, of course. And so as schools reopened, because everybody was online at the time, as schools reopened, I realized that there was no longer a need to have a homeschool teacher because the parents wanted to get rid of the children. They wanted them out, but there
Right.
was still a need for tutors. So, my business partner approached me because I was actually teaching her son, and she said that I have a project and I want us to work on it together because there is a niche. The issue is that when Jamaican teachers try to find tutoring jobs, they get responses from overseas companies, and they have to have a PayPal account or they have to have a Payoneer account. So there's nothing there, or there wasn't anything there really for the Jamaican teachers to tutor students locally and abroad. So we coined the project that we have now, which is Tutor Chimps. We worked on it, we built it, and our goal is to provide opportunities for Jamaican teachers to be able to teach online,
Yeah.
teaching students, local students and international students as well, especially students from Asia who are looking for English, who are looking to learn English.
Wow. Wow, very, very clearly explained. And I would recommend, as you guys describe why you're in business, and once you mention the name of your business, please drop it back in the chat so that anyone who's interested on the call can also go find you. Last time we kind of did that towards the end, but I would recommend it once it's relevant, just drop it in the chat so people can find more about you after. But yeah, man, very clear. Thank you, Jamie. Sarah or Sarah?
Hi, everybody. Morning. My name is Sarah Blackwood Brown, and the name of my business is Nest and Tribe. And I went into business because I had my first child, realized that I was not prepared for life postpartum, how to care for myself postpartum, and help with breastfeeding. Realized it was not very common in Jamaica for those kinds of products for help. Saw a niche, and not only that, it was not available in Jamaica, it was not widely known. So we decided to create our own brand to particularly support the moms and families in that space.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, nice, very nice, very clear. Thank you, Sarah. Drop the name as well in the chat, and I'm gonna read what Shanika said. Shanika said, Shanika's in business because of her passion to help others struggling. Persons struggling with hair and skincare issues to help build self-confidence and prioritizing self-care and health holistically. And Nadine is almost in business, but is currently pursuing a master's degree in marketing and has a passion for entrepreneurship. And her interest was sparked when she saw that JBDC was hosting the Virtual Biz Zone, which inspired her to learn from bright sparks in the business community and start net. Yeah, man, and to start networking with like-minded individuals. So that is what she's doing currently. Right, so what I want to highlight is that you all actually answered the question. The question was, why are you in business? And it has to go back to that original conversation we had last week. There's no business without an audience, right? We touched on this in detail last week. We said that an audience has a salary level, has a job, has a lifestyle, hobbies, education level, comfort with technology, where they live, who they are, what they believe. All of these make up one person. And do you know what comes with so many different facets to a person? Many different problems. You see, your audience has multiple problems, many of them tied to every single one of the things I have on screen here. Whether it's that they're trying to increase their salary level, trying to switch jobs, trying to find a new location to live, like they're migrating, or they're just moving across town. They have different lifestyle and hobbies that they're trying to do more of or less of. And all of that makes up your audience. And so Paul Marsden has this beautiful quote. Love the quote. It's, to me, one of the best quotes I've ever heard about the simplicity of business. Business is all about solving people's problems at a profit. That's it. So all that you guys mentioned just now, Jamie mentioned the issue with finding tutors and even the tutors themselves getting paid overseas to pay in their accounts and the stress with that. That's the problem that she's solving. Sarah mentioned the problem with lack of postpartum care. That's the problem she's solving. And Lorna mentioned, of course, what she's doing through Lorna Inspires and building confidence in the persons who are engaging with her course because of the lack of confidence that they currently have. And that is the problem that she's solving as well. And so in everything we're about to discuss about trends, I'm just going to walk through just a couple key trends that are actually very relevant in 2025. But it's not going to be like, if you're expected to hear me talk about Gangnam Style and Mannequin Challenge, that's kind of dating myself. But, you know, Gangnam Style and Mannequin Challenge, that's not what we're going to be discussing fully in this call, because those trends are very fleeting. What I'm going to share with you are trends that we have seen in doing marketing for different clients, as well as how you can find your own trends. But first of all, what is a trend, right? You know, when we talk about trends, we usually see graphs. We usually see this upward trajectory on a graph and say, boy, that must be a trend because it's happening over time. And that's a pretty accurate way to think about it. A trend is just a tracking of something changing over time. It can be a positive trend, it can be a negative trend. But the idea is that you're tracking how this is changing over time and you're recognizing that there's some activity with it over time, right? If the line was flat at the bottom here, we wouldn't describe it really as a trend. But this is an idea that something has been growing over time typically. When we talk about a positive trend, like things that are going upwards, or a negative trend, which are things that are going downwards. And there are a couple of trends that we are seeing at Adtelligent with our clients that I'm just going to discuss with you right now, and then to get your thoughts on some of them. You know, I mentioned already that not every trend is for you. And so the most important thing before you hop on a trend or hop on something that seems to be growing is that you understand your own brand. That word brand, beautiful, beautiful word. We use it as brand in English. In other languages, the word brand is also marca. So when you think of Apple, you're thinking of the Apple brand, the Apple mark. And you see it on a laptop, you see it on the back of your smartphone, you'll see it on your iPod. But what happens is that you start to associate certain things with that logo. And so if you went into a convenience store next week, right? Let's say you walked into Hilo and went down the energy drinks aisle and you saw an apple fruit juice with the Apple logo, like the phone brand. Even though you could think to yourself, oh, it's apple juice, something in your mind would say, boy, that's kind of off, right? That doesn't really make any sense in line with how we understand their brand. Something in your head would say, something is wrong with this because this does not associate with the idea that I have of Apple in my own mind. And the same goes with your brand and any trend that you hop on, right? All of your customers have an association with what your brand means. And so if you go into something completely off field, you're going to start to add questions to their mind. And they're going to say, is this the same brand that I've always been following? And you want to avoid that as best as possible. To give you a very practical example, we have a government client that we work with in the finance space. So government and finance, there are only a couple of those. And we do their marketing and their social media. And one of the members of our team had mentioned to me an idea that she had for the brand marketing for that brand recently. And it was a trend that was going around at the time. Can't remember exactly which one. But she was saying, boy, we could just get them to jump on this and we'll do this trend and it will be trendy and it will grow. And the question I asked her just genuinely is why? Why would we jump on that trend? And at the time, she didn't have a great response to why. So I encourage you to do the same thing with yourself. If you see a new trend pop up, whether it's the suspect challenge, because we did end up doing that with one of our government clients and it worked really well. Whether it's the suspect challenge or any other social media trend, like just hopping on TikTok, ask yourself, why am I doing this? and what is the goal, right? And does this align with my brand? Now that is a question that only you and you can answer right now. You have to decide whether or not it makes sense for you to go on a platform like TikTok and start to post there, because you have to also think about the audience on TikTok. I'll give you another example. We have a client that is a school in Jamaica, and the school does marketing each year to get new students to come to their school for their sixth form program. And one of the things that we really did well with was going on TikTok. Why? Because kids are on TikTok. And so what happens is the videos that we produce, the kids see, and they say, whoa, this is amazing. I want to go to this school. And they take that to the parents. Now that works because what is the parent trying to optimize for? The best education for their child, not the happiness, but the comfort of their child and a potential future for their child. So if the child brings that to the parent, having seen it on TikTok, then let me tell you, that is a successful advertising campaign. And that is a case where it makes sense to jump on the trend of hopping on TikTok as a platform. But there are certain brands where it doesn't make sense to go on TikTok immediately or first, because it's not the persons on TikTok who are purchasing the most. Think of high-end packages that cost hundreds of dollars, like a high-end hotel, for example. TikTok might not be the first platform that they go to, because they know that most of their travelers might be in the older ages. They might be in 35 to 50 to 60. And typically they don't spend that much time on TikTok. Same with the income bracket that they're aiming for. They won't spend that much time on TikTok as well. So I give you these practical examples. One, to let you know that we've been through it, so we kind of know what we're talking about here. We know when to choose and when not to choose. But also so that you can say to yourself, all right, cool. My nephew has been telling me go on TikTok. Before I just create an account and then leave it with 2 videos for the next 3 years that I just forget about. Why am I doing this? Is this something I can dedicate time to? Or is it something that I'm just doing because somebody told me it's trendy? Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the basics of designing a good advertisement. And that is very, very important. You can just indicate in the chat if you've ever seen them, but do you know the, I just need a yes if you've seen it and to know that you're still with me. Do you know those big flyers that people pin up on the telephone poles at stoplights for parties? Okay, sorry, I hit yes before she heard the question. Yeah, man. Okay. All right, you've seen it. Let me ask you a question. Why is it that they put all of the information on that one flyer? I want you to think through and tell me, why do they put all the information for the party on the flyer? They have the time, the cost, the venue, all the artists, even if the image is squingy and you have to squint to see who it is and the name. Why is it that they put everything on the flyer? Well said, Samantha. All right. Yes. Shari, Samantha, I'm seeing correct answers so far. Patrick has it. Absolutely. So they designed those exactly as you said. Catching your attention is a secondary thing. They know they'll catch it, but it's more like they have maybe 20 to 30 seconds when you're at the stoplight for you to look to the left, and you are supposed to take in as much as possible because they don't know when they will get your attention again. It's not meant to be pretty. It isn't, right? It's meant to give you information in an overflow. Now, that is the strategy they have. That's why they'll invest in very big billboards. They get the money, they find the money. In the middle of the night, they'll go up and hammer the thing into the telephone pole. And they'll leave it there so that you can see everything about party. Now, the second question, which is rhetorical, is why are we designing our digital ads the same way? It doesn't make any sense. when we're designing an ad for online purposes, it does not make sense, and it's actually bad practice for you to put all of that information in the graphic. One, because most people are looking at it on their phone, so they won't be able to actually read it. So that actually makes it less effective. But also that fear of losing them and not having them after they drive off past the stoplight is not there. If they want to see your ad again, they can scroll back up. And most importantly, if they want more information about your company, they can click on the ad. And so this is going to fall back into how we're talking about the social media aspect of building your business, right? Because we're going to get to how you make money from this. But very importantly, if they can click on the ad to get more information, there's no need to overwhelm persons with all the information in that graphic. And so in your graphic design, in your online ads, as you guys do business, be very careful not to overwhelm the graphic with text. Facebook actually has a percentage of text that if you have, I think it's over 80% of the graphic is text, they're going to block the graphic from running as an ad because that is a poorly designed ad. Let the person have a reason to click, interact, and move to the next stage. In design, that's a topic that we call progressive disclosure. Just means give people the information when they actually ask you for it, right? Give them enough to say, I want to know more, and then click forward. So I thought that that was a practical tip that you should also know when it comes to trends of posting on social media, that those ads with a lot of text, Facebook will even de-rank if you try to run it as an ad, and that your best ads will have key information, but just enough that somebody clicks on it and comes to the next thing. Cool, that's progressive disclosure. And I think that is a core part of what we do at Telgen. You're gonna hear it later, but one of the things we encourage is that social media operates as the town crier. It shouts, it gets people out, it stands outside the business. If you've ever seen those guys with the sign in their hand and they're standing in front of the business spinning and saying, come inside, that is social media's job. It is there to get attention, but you need someone inside to actually convert them to business. And you just want to do enough to get that person to want to interact with your brand. While I was thinking about this presentation, the analogy that came to mind is one of the things about me is I like to run. I like doing 5Ks and longer distance. So if you see me on the road, please don't hit me with your car. I really appreciate that, just a heads up. But one of the things about a 5K or a longer distance that race planners have to think about is how curvy the track is going to be, or the path is going to be. And the reason that they do that, or good planners do that, is because of dopamine. One of the important things about when you're running is that you are trying to pass the people in front of you, yes, but you're also trying to maintain momentum all the way to the end. And so when you're running a path that has a lot of curves, the way that our minds work is that we're just trying to make it to the next curve. We're just trying to make it to the next turn, and then we go around that corner. We're just trying to make it to the next person, then we pass them. And so whether or not the distance is the same, you could run 2 kilometers on a curvy path with a lot of turns and 2 kilometers on a straight road. And the curves feel like fun and the straight road feels like eternity. Same distance and likely about the same amount of time running, but it takes a completely different mental fortitude to run in a straight line, right? It's a whole different thing because you have no turns to look forward to, even though the distance is the same. And why that analogy came to mind is when you're designing your ads, make sure that you're giving your potential customers quick turns that they can turn on, right? Give them quick actions that they can take so that they can get to the next part. So even though the distance to the conversion is the same, which is you want them to make a purchase, it does not feel like you are telling them to run on a straight road. Let me make this practical. One thing that we do at Intelligent in designing websites is forms. You can have a form with 20 questions, and the day you put all 20 in one page, you'll find that you have very few people complete it because immediately as they look at it, they say, this is going to take me 15 weeks to finish. But when you break up those 20 questions for a lead form into 4 pages, and it's just 5 per page, you've already increased how many people are going to complete your actual form. Right, so this is going back to the point of progressive disclosure. Make it easy for your customer to make a quick next step decision. Don't put all the work in front of them and make them think, all right, well, this is going to take me a long time, so it's probably going to take me a long time to get started as well. All right, hope that makes sense. If that's clear, or if you have any questions, you can ask now, because that is touching on the design part.
Excellent presentation so far, Christopher. I'm participating quietly.
Okay.
All
Appreciate that.
right.
Don't know if there are any questions or clarifications. Just scroll to the chat.
All right. Nothing in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's dealing with a couple social media trends and how you can, like, as I said, I want you to immediately be able to leave this conversation and say, all right, going back to my graphic designer, the last graphic had too much text. People scroll past it, they didn't do anything because they were squinting on their phone. Now I know, rather than put all the details of the event on the graphic, I'm going to put just enough that they can click and learn more on my website, click and learn more on my page. Right,
All
so
right.
that's one important trend. Go
There's
ahead.
there's a question in the chat for you. If you'd like for me to read it, I can do that.
Okay, please.
Is there an optimal place to put the key details like date and time in a digital flyer?
That is a very good question. And it depends on the platform. I see the question. That's a very good question. Michelle, it depends on the platform, but what I would say is keep it within, don't put it at the edges. So never put it to the edge, because each platform may crop your image differently and it will crop off the important details. So, we like to stick everything at the end or at the top. Don't do that. Give it a bit of padding or a bleeding edge so you can, whether the platform crops it or not, keep the important information there. I think somebody asked an example. I should have two. Let me just make sure they're up. Okay, so here is a quick one. This is one for one of our clients that I'm going to discuss a little later. So he has his boarding school fair, and you'll notice that we don't stick the logo right up into the top left corner because depending on the platform, it will cut it. Now, this is the website. So we have control of the website, so we can make sure that there's no cropping ever. But if we were to put this on social media, we'd have to probably give some more space on the right here where it says register, just to make sure it doesn't cut as well on social media. But this gives them all the information they need. Register here for bettywalker.com. You're not trying to tell them all the schools who will be there. You're not trying to tell them, where to park, gates open at, no. Just enough information to say, oh, I want to go to a boarding school. Let me click this and learn more. All right, hope that answers. I see some other questions, so. But yeah, I hope that answered it, Michelle. Avoid the edges. Avoid them like.
Yes, she responded and said thanks.
Okay, great.
So you showed the example already. There's another question. Do you recommend putting the cost of the products on the flyer if there are more than one products?
I would like some more details on the type of product before I answer that one.
All right, so Nikisha, just drop that in the chat. And then Paige is saying, should you use a different trend for each business?
It depends on your audience page. It definitely depends. Wow, look at that, Samantha. You're saying my words word for word. It depends on your audience.
Yeah, you have some teachers in the in the room.
Right. So as I mentioned briefly, we have had to use different trends for different businesses. So there is no one size fits all. You can't just say everybody should have a Facebook page and do the ice bucket challenge, or that everybody should have a TikTok and post 3 times a week, because it depends on the business. So if all of your businesses have the same audience, So if you have like a hair care business, a skincare business, and a nail care business, let's say you have a trifecta of those three, and you know that your target audience is typically the same, which is like an ideal scenario, then very likely you'll be able to just focus on, let's say, Instagram, for example. And each of them would have an Instagram page. They'd have very similar structures. They'd have a place for them to book an appointment. And so it'd be pretty much the same strategy. But if they're different audiences, then you're going to need to look at different trends for each. Suzanne said, the key is to grab their attention and let them interact for more information. Correct. That's exactly it. Don't overwhelm them. And the temptation is to have the same fear, right? You could say to yourself, boy, what if they only see my ad once and then they go off and they don't come back? Well, if they don't come back, it's likely that they weren't interested, right? That's the first thing. So you would not have caught them anyway. But if you try to put all the information there and say, all right, they'll see this once and then they'll remember. Yes, but you want to make sure that you control what they remember, if that makes sense, right? You want to put the information there that even if they don't come back, they remember your website or the name of your business. They remember the time of the event, the date of the event. And then if they do come back, they'll be able to just reference the little bit of information they have to say, oh, I saw this webinar from this organization, JBDC, next week, Tuesday, right? If that's all they remember, then they can find JBDC back. But if JBDC tried to do a flyer, Suzanne, with all the topics of my talk, questions are invited, and this will be on Zoom, and this is the Zoom link in the flyer, right? This is a free event. If you did all of that, then it's going to be very hard for you to remember what is actually important about the event, which is come learn about trends online.
Chris,
Yes,
Diana has her hand up. Can you
please,
take a
Diana.
question? All right. Go ahead, Diana.
Good day, everyone. All
Good
right,
day.
so with regards to the pricing on the flyers for your
Yeah.
social media, what I find is that you have to remember to take down that flyer if your price changes or if your prices change. Because like for instance, sometimes somebody come up on your page, you have a price change and they see it on your platform for X dollars, then it kind of creates some confusion there. So I would be cautious of putting up the prices on a flyer, remembering to take them down after those prices have expired.
Well said. Oh, fantastic point. And who comes to mind when you say that is Rainforest. I'm not sure well, it was actually across the island, but during COVID, Rainforest did these fantastic deals where you could get like all these burgers and all this fish for maybe a 3-5. But over time, those prices would have gone up. So they didn't stop putting the price because the price changed, right? They didn't say, oh, well, we can't risk putting the price because it might change in the future. They just made it very clear, big and bold, this is the new price on the graphics. So once you see the newest graphics, all right, well, same package, but the price has gone up. And they didn't shy away from so they're not afraid to put the price on the graphic. But as Diana just mentioned, right, if you have prices that fluctuate like that and people are referencing old posts, then it's wise to take them down. Posting frequency, Sarah, that is very nuanced. I don't know the exact formula, and I wish I did. I can tell you what we do is we research it based on each client. So we may do 3 posts a week for some clients and 2 for some clients. So typically we'll fall between 2 and 3 so that you don't inundate people with new posts. And the reason we do that, kind of going back to last week, is engagement. We want to have a high engagement per post. And that is best when people recognize that there's a new post from you. So if you do 3 to 5 a day, people might miss the post that you've actually just done. Not because they don't want to like the post, it's just that on their feed, it didn't show up. or yeah, on their feed it didn't show up, or they were scrolling through your page and missed that you had done 2 posts back to back. So I'll say typically we do 2 to 3 per week. Rarely we do more, but yeah, I think around that is a safe one. And do what's manageable as well. Okay, Stacey Ann, you are clearly part-time profit, because that's exactly what we're going to go into next. So if there are no more questions, we're going to actually jump into the next topic, which is called Google Search Console. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, Lorna mentioned that pricing is not something that she usually put on her graphics, and I 100% agree with that. Like I said, it depends on the product or the service. If you're doing a luxury good, like a glamping, for example. So if your packages, you do glamping out in the top of cockpit country, right? We don't expect you to put the price for the glamping because one, it will vary depending on each person, how big the tent is, if they need transportation or not. But luxury goods like that, it's usually a contact us to request more information rather than, oh, here's the price. And for services, it's usually based on a quotation. So you do an inspection of the person's business and then you give them. So unless you have something that is very commoditized, like buy off the shelf, or your service is so standard that you can easily advertise it with the price, you're not going to find that you put your price onto the graphic that's going online. Okay. So in answering Stacey Ann's question, and also just in answering one of your questions, one of the big things that we do is we will look for trends related to a client's business. And the way that we do that is with a couple tools that I'm going to introduce to you today. I'm going to share with you maybe one or two, depending on time. But just for your knowledge, there are a lot more tools that allow you to do this at a higher level. And we, as an advertising agency and a web development agency, we have access to tools that give us better keyword research. But the tool we're going to look at today is a free tool that any of you can use if you've connected it to your website. And I highly recommend that you do if you have a website. So Google has a tool called Google Search Console. And what it does is it allows you to track how your website shows up in Google search results. So if you have a website and you've connected it to Google and Google has indexed it, then you can connect your website to Google Search Console to see what people are searching when you pop up. So let me show you exactly what that looks like for one of our clients. So this client is in the tourism industry. They are not operators, but they are a destination in a sense. And they're also a place where you can do shopping, you can eat. It's a very nice setup that they have. And so on their Search Console results page, we can see that people have been searching and finding their website over the last 3 months. So they've gotten 6,000 clicks in the last 3 months, 5,000 impressions, and I'll tell you what those two things are. And then the click-through rate and the average position are both here as well. Now, average position means this is the number result you showed up as on Google. So like this is saying on average, they're number 10 or 11 or lower, or sometimes higher, but around the 10-ish point. What is interesting about Search Console and what I recommend is that once you've found the performance of your result on Google, go down to the section that says queries, and you'll actually be able to see what exact search terms people are looking for that they then click to your business for. So we're going to do this live here. So this is the name of the business. So you can see when they search the exact name, 1,015 impressions means it showed up 1,015 times in a search list. And then 320 clicks means after showing up in that search list 320 people would have clicked from Google to their website. Now, this is good. This is great, right? In fact, a 31% click-through rate is fantastic. That's industry leading. But what's also exciting about this is you can see the things that people search but didn't click on you for. So you can actually see what keywords you can use or what is actually trending. So let's look at the ones that had the most impressions. So people also searched Rose Hall Great House. Now, Main Street Rose Hall is very close to Rose Hall Great House. And they also have a tour that takes you to Rose Hall Great House. So they had 7,000 impressions here, but only 3 people clicked. So as the person who's optimizing to get more business into your website, you can look back and say, all right, well, maybe we can do some sort of promotion where we highlight Rose Hall Great House. Maybe we just add a line on the homepage saying we're close to Rose Hall Great House, right? These are some of the things that you can do. And if you have any ideas related to this, you can throw them in the chat as well. Jamaica colors. I'm not sure why people were searching Jamaica colors, but this might have been a global audience that was just trying to figure out what are the Jamaica colors. And Main Street Rose Hall would have come up. Pandora, Jamaica. Now, this is important for Main Street because Main Street has a Bijou Jewelers on its compound. And Bijou is the only authorized dealer of the Pandora charm for the Pandora bracelet for the Jamaica charm. So this is actually a very important keyword for them to come up for because this is something they want people to be searching, right? So if it seems that many people, 61 persons clicked and 4,000 people searched in just the last 3 months for this Pandora charm for Jamaica, then that's probably something to pay attention to. And you can continue on just like that. They have a Scotchies at Main Street. So if you're looking for a Scotchies in Mobay, that's one of the options, and so on and so forth. Now, what you do with this is you can take this content because Google is literally telling you, this is what's trending, right? These are what people are actually searching on Google in the last 3 months that you can then tweak your website or your advertising message to say Pandora bracelet, Jamaica, or get your Pandora charm in Jamaica, or Pandora special in Jamaica, or find one of the 2 Scotchies in Montego Bay. And you can then use that to bring more people to your business. So this is Google Search Console. Very important that you can try to use this. If you don't have a website, unfortunately, you will not be able to get access to Search Console because it's directly tied to a website URL. So that's definitely a good question. But if you don't come into that question, RW, I like that question. But yeah, if you don't have a website, you won't be able to access this direct information here. But what you can use is another tool giving you some of the juice, called Uber Suggest. Nothing to do with the car company. And you can use it on your competitors, right? So you can put in a keyword for one of your competitors or your own brand and see what it gives you. Now, this one is kind of tricky. Not to understand, it's very simple to understand, but because of the location limitation, if you don't have users in the US who are coming on your site, you're not going to get a lot of good quality data. I'm not sure that they have Jamaica yet. Let me just check. They do. Okay, let's try that. Okay, same information. So you can put in the name of your brand if you don't have a website or your URL and get some of the ideas for the keywords, but then a lot of it will be paid because it's not your information. And this way you can see kind of what from your website is actually drawing people to your business. So that's Uber Suggest. You can definitely try that one out. It looks like you'll get free 3 daily searches, which should be more than enough for you to get started with keyword research. And remember, these are things that are literally trending. This is not like a gut feeling about what's trending. This is people are searching these exact terms, so we can create a graphic for Instagram in line with this trend. Or we can update our website in line with this trend too. We can do a giveaway in line with this trend because this is what's actually trending. All right. No problem, Sherry. Now, if your website was built with AI, you could use this one. You can use Uber Suggest as well. And you can also set up Search Console for yourself for your website. I'm not familiar with Strikingly, RW, but that should be good as well. All right, keeping it moving. So that is Search Console. Now, I have just spoken to you about Google Search Console. I'm going to pause there because some of this might be brand new to you and I don't want to skip over anything important. And I hope that you can dance with two conflicting ideas because we're about to conflict what I just spoke about. No problem. So any questions? Okay. Not seeing anything in the chat, so we keep it moving. Hope you guys are still with me because we are about to go into a very interesting territory. Now, what we just spoke about is a topic called SEO, right? Search engine optimization. But the truth is, one of the biggest trends that's recently come about is that SEO is no longer the only player in town. For all of you that have businesses and businesses that provide information and business websites, you now need to consider something called AEO. And it's really an important thing for you to pay attention to because it changes how people search for information. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, which means you are telling the search engines more about your business through your website so that when people search terms, they can find a link to your website. AEO is answer engine optimization. So it's no longer about the fun of the search. It's about directly getting the answer to their query. So I think I had mentioned it last week. It didn't really work last week, but we're going to try it again. And we're going to look for top. I'm just going to pull up google.com and see if we can get this to show up. Let's see if this demo will work. So we're going to look for top restaurants. I think I give this example all the time. Top Chinese restaurants in Kingston, in New Kingston. Let's just use that. Okay, they're not working with me again. Who? All right, let's try that. Who are the Chinese restaurants? Okay, beautiful. Sometimes you have to give it in the format of a question to trigger it. But you'll notice that there's this new thing called an AI overview. Now, this is very important. Follow me. The AI overview is the way that Google is now doing answer engine optimization. So people aren't even getting to the search results anymore. They are now getting the answer directly at the top of Google search. And Google is pulling that information from your website and other websites that reference you. So it's saying China Garden Restaurant, Dragon Court Restaurant, Golden Bowl Restaurant, Jade Garden Restaurant. It's giving me the answer I asked about without me having to visit any websites. What's the big deal? Why is that important? One, it means that website traffic globally is going to go down. So you are going to see a dip in your website traffic unless your website is just starting up and you don't have a baseline. But you're going to see less people visiting the website. If they're just searching for things like your opening hours or your location, they'll be able to get it right here. And there's no reason for you to go to the website. But more importantly and more positively, if you have a website, it's very important that you have well-written content on your website so that Google can reference your site. right? More than ever, it's very important that you have good content. Images are important, but when people are searching for answers, they're going to be pulling from your site's content to make sure that this is the most relevant answer possible. And so I had the idea, I just wanted to kind of work with you on this. So I would like a couple of you to tell me what search terms your business should show up for. Maybe we can take 3 persons. And we're going to see if your websites currently are set up for answer engine optimization, AEO. So all I need is you to tell me a bit about your business and what search terms people should be finding you for. Okay, lawyer import more is going to be very difficult. Let's start with Tanya, and Susan, I'm going to ask you for a more specific one. And maybe put it in the way that they'd ask a question. So like how we said, who are the Chinese restaurants? Would they say, who is the best real estate lawyer in Portmore, or which real estate lawyers in Portmore, for example? All right, Tanya, please go ahead.
Morning again. So I don't know if you remember in our last meeting, I was telling you that I had signed up for the Google search thingy. Working now, thank God. And
Nice.
just yesterday, someone told me that when I asked how they found me, they said they searched on Google and
Excellent.
my flyer and so on. But I'm happy you were speaking about, you know, the keywords and so on, because I don't have a website as yet, but I would love to know what I can do. So when persons go to search, whether for flowers, gifts, decor, event, whatever, I would love to know what I can do. So when they put in these keywords, my thing can pop up. But he said he put in gift baskets in Spanish Town, something like that.
Excellent.
And a few of them came up, but mine was up there. And because of, you know, my colors and all of that, it was looking quite catching. So he clicked onto it. And coincidentally, somebody that I know. So
Wow.
what can I do so whomever can type in from wherever and find me without the website? That is, I don't have it as yet.
Okay. Well, don't delay the website. Very important. Still make that your top priority so people have a place to go while you're sleeping. Better that they can find the answer at midnight while you're asleep than that they just send you a message on IG and then you have to respond to it the next day. Because you want to reduce that friction. You want to give them quick turns that they can follow to get to your finish line. But if you don't have the website yet, Instagram is still a very good place to rank. If we scroll here, you'll see Instagram just comes up very high because they have what's called high domain authority. So Instagram, if you sell your products on Amazon, Amazon will come up TripAdvisor. Even though it's not your own website, you're leveraging their good name, basically. So it's like you have somebody who everybody knows who's talking about your business. So maximize your Instagram page, make sure it has the same content so people can find the information. So if it's in your description, you describe your services briefly, and let that be how people find you until you build out your website. All right, Lorna?
Thank you. Image and etiquette consulting.
Okay, so I want you to give me in a search term now, or a question that somebody would ask. Otherwise, Google will ignore it. It will just give you search results.
Okay, I'm thinking. Etiquette consulting. I need help with my social skills.
How can I get help with?
My social skills.
All right, so I'm kind of baiting Google. I don't know that
Okay.
somebody would search this, but let's see what comes
Yeah.
up. I'm just trying to force this result.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's just giving a general answer. It didn't link any businesses.
Yeah.
Well, let me just see. Who did it link? The Counseling Center Group. And these look like global organizations. So maybe, okay, so I actually gave Kingston suggestions. Notice, guys, none of this, you haven't visited a website yet. You're on Google. So it said in Kingston, you can explore resources like therapy centers, same link, community centers, and social skills agency. Let's see if that's a real thing. Right, this is not in Jamaica either. So not seeing any results for Jamaica, which is good in a sense. Just search with the word Jamaica. So somebody comes up, Brittany Hills, behavioral consultant. I think that is different for sure. But what I see here, Lorna, is that you have an opportunity to kind of take the space.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Here
Thank
are
you.
your competitors here. Right here. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, Davia, and then I'll take some from the chat.
Shireen was before David, so I'm gonna.
Oh, please go ahead, Sherry.
I'm thinking lifestyle coaches in Jamaica.
Let's see. I don't know that this will trigger it. Okay, there we go. So it says Cheryl Messam. Maybe you know these names. Marcia Woon Choi, Philip Clark, and the Knowledge Academy.
Okay.
Any of those names you recognize?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But I was hoping that my website would have come up.
Not yet. Not yet. But this is an opportunity to get it there. The nice thing about Google is not best friends with Marcia or Cheryl. So Google is not, it's not going to necessarily say, well, I just want Marcia, so I'm going to show Marcia.
Right.
It's crawling their sites and saying, these are the best fits for what Chris just searched.
From what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, no, my pleasure. Just a reminder, this is answer engine optimization. It doesn't mean that you didn't come up in search engine optimization below, but just keep in mind that this is what people see immediately, and they might just click the answer rather than the search results.
Than the search. So the place to be is really the AEO and not
Correct.
SEO.
Both. For sure, both, just in case this doesn't come up.
And I get there by using, I sort of joined late and so got the tail end of what you were saying. I will get that by using the search engine, the Google Search Console.
No. Good question. I didn't cover it, so that's a good question.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Just to touch it very briefly, and if it is something you're interested in, please reach out after. But it's the quality of the content. So here's something that I found. I'm going to click Cheryl's website just as an example. Don't know it, never been. But I have a guess. Let me just see, and then we go through. So you see this rich content here, meaning it has enough words to answer the search term. That is what Google is looking for, even more than just having a well-designed website. So if your website is all photos, then you're not going to come up in AEO, right? You have to have some written content that Google is going to serve. So where you put that keyword, I see Tanya's question, you put it all over the site. The homepage is very helpful. This is her homepage. So put the content on the homepage as well. But just remember that as well. For your website, now you're giving persons information about your business, so you can feel a bit freer to have more content than the graphic that brought them there. And that's what I've been seeing. Something else I'll note is that, some sites are using AI to generate the content for the web pages, or some companies, I should say. Nothing wrong with that for when people are reading, but I have not been seeing Google rank AI written content well. Now, I don't know if it's that they have a filter for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But AI written content, we have a client who writes some of their blog posts with AI. That doesn't seem to rank that well, even though the posts are very interesting and engaging. So it might be something to watch out how much AI you use to write the content for your website. Okay, Davia, please, and then I'll hop into the chat.
Hi everyone, so David here from Bag and Pan Handmade from last week. So I do Jamaican themed and Jamaican made jewelry. So my question for the AEO would have been, where can I find Jamaican made or Jamaican themed polymer clay jewelry? Yeah.
Do people, and you're gonna have to kind of teach me, do people actually search polymer clay jewelry?
Some might, some might.
Okay. Jamaican made. And do they care if it's Jamaican made or Jamaican themed is more important?
Um, hmm. I guess considering we have Emancipendence coming up, we can go with themed.
Okay. Themed. Okay, I'm going to put the polymer clay and then I'm just going to do earrings because that might be a more regular search term. So let's see what happens. Well, you come up in search engine number 1, which makes sense because you're owning that space. So congrats.
Thank you.
That's very good. But there's no AEO, which probably means it's too specific. So let's do Jamaican themed earrings. Do you sell in a specific place or is island wide?
Point of conversation, we can say no.
Okay. Where can I buy Jamaican theme? I'm not seeing it come up. Jamaican themed.
Or how about Jamaican earrings?
Jamaican earrings. Where, let me just try, where can I find? Okay. I guess they don't necessarily want to highlight purchase. Okay, you can find Jamaican earrings. So they send you to Amazon. Ice carrots. Let's do locally made just to see. They send you to Etsy.
Or yeah, that's why I was thinking maybe Jamaican made would work.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, maybe that's too, that it seems to be too specific. So if you have another one, we can try that one as well. And there's nothing wrong with it being too specific in your case because you own the SEO. So when I do Jamaican earrings, Chrissy's Coils comes up. So tell me if you know these businesses: Yachty, Carb Shopper, Rev, or Shop My Jamaica.
Yeah, I do know a few of those.
Okay. So that means that you have an opportunity to do better on SEO for these keywords here. Jamaican earrings locally. Maybe they have the word local in theirs and you don't. But that is what would make them rank higher than where they are right now.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, though, Davia. Please, and try it out. See what comes up on your side. All right. Let me do 2 more from the chat. Let's try okay, where can I find personal injury lawyer in Portmore? Okay, so this is for you, Suzanne. So they send me to lawyers.com and something called jm.pathlegal. And they name Stephen A. Shaw and Inga Samuda, Nigel Jones and Co. So you can throw in the chat if you recognize any of those names. I see Lausanna. Goff Law and Stephen A. Shaw. So I'm not seeing yours as yet up here, which just means that you have some opportunity to improve your AEO. All right, and one more, just keep it moving. What to pack in my hospital? Oh, I like that. So I'll do this one from Sarah. I think this should be global, but let me just put Jamaica for. Yeah. Yeah, so this search term would be global, Sarah. So this would bring articles from the NHS in the UK, Pampers. So unless your site was here, then I would more do a local search term, like for UHWI. And it's still giving me some of the global ones. So this might be a bit of a wider search term. And you might try to focus more on the more specific ones like postpartum care in Jamaica. How can I get postpartum care in Jamaica or postpartum supplies in Jamaica for your business? No problem. For the AEO, Suzanne, it is surrounding the content that you write on your website. So I would, if you've just indexed your site, it's also going to take a little while. These sites that have been there for 10, 15 years are going to have better results than you. So part of it is patience, just to see if Google will index it. I think you said you just got it on Google Business last week and it's showing up this week. So yours might be to watch it for a little while first. If after a couple of weeks it's not showing up, you can try to tweak the wording on your homepage to include more about your services and directly answering these questions here. One tip that you'll find in some of the books that I've even recommended is turning the question into the direct answer. So for example, I'll use Sarah as an example. Hers says, what to pack in my hospital bag when having a baby for UHWI? One of the tricks in marketing or tactics is creating a blog post or a feature called, this is what to pack in your hospital bag when having a baby. Right? So Google has no confusion about what you're actually writing about, and it's directly the answer to the question. So for you, Suzanne, it might be to write out what are people likely going to ask, and then writing content for your homepage that directly answers that. But Lorna, I'm not sure about the $600 credit. You could send in the chat a little bit more information about that. And Shari, I'd have to look at how AI generated content is flagged. If you're asking about the literal way the algorithm works, not sure fully. I do know there's a, I mean, there's a joke going around with ChatGPT now that you can always know it's ChatGPT's response because it uses something called an M dash. So something that I look for now personally when somebody sends me anything. An M dash is this long dash here between clothes and vests. It doesn't use the regular hyphen that we use when we type, it uses an M dash. So it could be something like that they're looking for. Are there M dashes in the response? That's probably a very good way to check if it's AI generated. Look for the big long dash. But outside of that, I do not know how they're flagging it. All right, now that was fun. That was fun and insightful. So that is SEO and AEO. Another important trend that I'm going to address on the negative side is apps, right? So we have AEO now, that's great. But what about apps? Now, some of you might have said, boy, I need to build an app for my business. Now is the time to do an app, or in the future, once the website takes off and we get enough sales, we'll create our own app. As someone who started developing as an app developer 10 years ago, please know the facts before you go into app creation. There are multiple studies out, but I'll just start you off with this one from, I think it was 2016 that it was published, around that time. that said that the average number of apps installed on any of our devices is 30, right? Now, there's some variance. I found other sources saying it's about 40. I saw somebody saying it's up to 80. But let's say it's 40 to 80 maximum applications on your phone. And actively per month, one of the sources said that it's 30 apps that we use in a month. 30. The same source that gave me this one found that the average number, that should be number sign, not percent, of new apps installed per month is 0. Think about that. 0. After you finish setting up your phone for the first time, you install back your Netflix, your Spotify, your Digicel, your JPS. How many apps do you really install on a regular basis? Like, just think about that. After you have your main apps, how often do you install a new app? You don't reinstall Instagram every month, right? There's no new Instagram every month, I should say. So keep in mind that most people don't install new apps. So this temptation to just jump into app development, be very careful. I'll give you a couple ways to think about if you need an app or not, as someone who has done app development. If your users need to be able to access your content offline, maybe you need an app. If not, you probably just need a website. If you need to be able to give push notifications, which are the pop-ups that come up at the top of your phone, where you can send your regular members or users notifications, then you may need an app. If you don't need to send them by push and you just want to send by email, you may be fine with just a website. And very importantly, if persons are not going to access your platform more than 2 times per week, so think about 3 times a week you go into your banking app, 3 times a week you go into your music app, yeah, things like that. Then if they're not going to be accessing or if they are going to be accessing your content about more than 2 times per week, you may need an app, especially if it's content that they're paying to access. So think about the music on your Spotify, thinking about the movies on your Netflix. Then you may need an app. But if people come to your platform irregularly, then you may just need a website. And the fourth thing is if the data is not personalized. So think about a budgeting app, right? If you have a budgeting platform where people can put their monthly budgets and they come in every day and check more than 2 times a week, they update their budget and it's personalized to me, then you may need an app if you have that type of platform. But if it is that you're selling things like jewelry, etc., and it's not that frequent that persons will come in and the content is not personalized to them, I don't have my own account basically, then you're probably fine with just a website. Right? And I warn you, because app development is a whole, it's not the same as web development because you have to think about updates to the app store. It's not like hitting publish on the website. It's republishing to each app store, making sure that it works on Android and iOS. And it's possible, it's something that we can do at Intelligent as well, but not something to jump into blindly just to say, oh, I need an app. Okay, cool. I hope that warning was, they said a word to the wise is enough. So if you need one, if you still need one, please reach out. We'll be happy to help. But hopefully some of you who are thinking, yeah, man, I need an app. It's just an app. You will have some more to consider about, do I really need an app? Okay. Video content. Now, one of our big arms at Intelligent is video production. And we are very good at it, I will say. As someone who doesn't lead the video team, I can actually say we're very good at it objectively. And we are very careful with how we shoot commercials and promotional videos. But one of the trends that we've been seeing is people love genuine content. Now, genuine content does not mean that you don't brush your teeth and you don't comb your hair and you don't come on camera well put together. That's not what I mean by genuine content, like you genuinely just woke up. That's not it. But genuine content means that there's nothing pretentious in your speech. You don't pretend to be someone that you're not, and you don't make your business pretend to be something that it is not. People love to support what is real and what feels real. In fact, a couple years ago, there was a new social media platform that was launched in the US called Be Real. And it started to take off very quickly because when you sign up for Be Real, there were no filters. You can't post multiple photos every minute. You could only post twice a day. And you couldn't add in a filter to your image. You just had to post what your camera saw from your front camera, which is you, and the back camera, which is what was in front of you. And it took off because people wanted a real connection. Clubhouse. Who remembers Clubhouse? Clubhouse started in COVID and died in COVID. But the idea was very interesting, right? Invite only. And you would join this platform and you would hear people like Elon Musk speak. You'd hear your favorite influencers speak. Just raw conversation, genuine conversation, right? Sarah remembers Clubhouse. And that is because people are looking for real connection. They don't want, it's not like the 1950s where you would look around and everybody is so dolled up and dressed up and, you know, things are not as they seem, right? They could pretend to be one thing on the outside and then at home they're, you know, completely different, right? People don't like that pretentiousness. Nobody's awarding people for being pretentious or looking a certain way. People are looking for real content to engage with. And so video content, current trend is that be as genuine as you can. Again, genuine does not mean that it is raw, meaning it doesn't mean it's unprepared. It just means that you are being truthful. Okay. So we're coming towards the end. And we're going to look a little bit at websites. Now, you've heard me talk a lot about it. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, I do need to continue building out my website. And I need somebody to help me with it, or I'm just going to do it myself. So there are basically 4 groups of web development contractors. You have build it yourself Brandon, which many of you would fall into this group. You're saying to yourself, yeah, but I don't really need somebody else to do it for me. I'll do it myself. I'll design it. I'll put the content up. I'll do the SEO, etc. Build it yourself Brandon is not successful typically with building the website, not because they don't have good intention, but because their skill set, as you guys mentioned earlier, is not building websites. It is running the business and solving other people's problems at a profit. And so the website can get stalled many times. The development might stop where their skill set stops, or it might just stop because they've run out of time. Then you have Freelancer Frank. Freelancer Frank is an alternative. So you decide, boy, I'm not going to try and build this myself. I'm going to go for a freelancer. And there's nothing wrong with Freelancer Frank. In theory, Freelancer Frank will definitely be cheaper than Deborah, the dedicated developer, and AdRelevant, the advertising agency. And they may be able to finish the website for you very quickly, and it will look great. The issue that I have seen, and I've heard from other companies, is that when you hire a freelancer to design your website, what typically happens is they disappear. And in many cases, as someone who is a developer but not introverted, what happens is many freelancers know their craft, but they don't know how to communicate that, hey, we underestimated how long this would take or how much this would take in investment. And we have to up the price, change the scope, or reduce the scope, increase the scope or reduce the scope. And so there's kind of a hesitation on their part to communicate back to you, the company, that they messed up or that they can't do what they said they were going to do. So Freelancer Frank can be great, but Freelancer Frank can also disappear. And so that's just something to keep in mind. There are pros and cons to each. Deborah, the dedicated developer, that's the person you hire full-time as your internal marketing and web person. Probably the ideal case, the ideal scenario, if you have access to a high-quality developer who stays with you. And that's someone you can call daily because you know they're at their desk working on your business. This, I would say, is probably the ideal scenario, but not always able to be found. And you might not be at the scale to have someone who can do this. And the other con I would say with Deborah is that when you have a dedicated developer who's working only on your business, the only thing they know is your business. And so they will not be able to bring in insights from other industries to their work, but they're still very good and possibly an ideal scenario for your business or organization. And then you have this fictitious agency ad relevant. If it reminds you of any agency, might be a coincidence. Now, there are pros and cons to hiring an advertising agency to do your website, right? The main thing is that the pro, of course, is that they have experience from other persons in your industry and other industries. So they're bringing in lots and lots of insights that they can put into your website. So you're not getting like one person, you're getting a team of persons that you can go visit, that you can quickly hire and fire, right? Because they're on a contract with you. And they get a chance to learn your brand, but also take all their learnings from other industries into your work. The con with an advertising agency is the price, typically, right? An advertising agency is not just one person, so it's going to be a lot more expensive than all the other ones. So just outlining pros and cons of each. But one thing I do want to recommend here is just don't be branding, guys. Like if you take anything away, don't be branding. One of the biggest things that we like to do is think that we're the only person that can accomplish our goal. Or I should say, we're the only person that we need to accomplish our goal. And that is a very dangerous place to be. That's a very isolated place to be. And one of the things that I have seen over the last 7 years at Adtelligent is some of the best productions that we've done come because you look to the person to the right of you and say, what do you think about this design? What do you think about this? And they're like, this works, this doesn't work. Or did you know that there's this other thing that you could install or do in the video or correct the text, or I got it a different way from how you communicated it. Having somebody else to look over your work, vital. So guys, don't be branded. Don't sit in the corner and try to build it yourself. Just don't. Focus on your business and find Frank, Deborah, or Ad Relevant so that you can focus on your business and communicate your vision well with somebody else. And even if Frank isn't like a business expert or a consultant, right? At least they'll be able to give you a second eye on your work. Okay. So I need my website to work for me. So I mentioned last time, you still need a web presence, regardless of what we're discussing. You need to have a web presence, even if you have a brand and budget, right? There are free options that you can do. You can use Canva, you can use Linktree. All of these are options that you can create for your own landing page. But you also do need to look at building out what is called a digital branch. So let's use this guy, Jim. Jim is the example. Jim is trying to do business with one of your businesses. Let's say he's trying to do, I'm going to use Patrick because I just saw his comment come up. He's trying to do business with Patrick's tour business. Now, I don't know Patrick's tour business. I'm using him as an example because he shared what his business is. Jim is trying to find out how to book a tour for him and his kids. He wants to do the Black River Safari. And so he goes online and he finds Patrick's tour business. He goes on the website and all it says is, we do tours. This is the time and date that we do tours, nothing specific to that tour, and a phone number. Jim leaves the website feeling like, but now I have to do a lot more work just to find out. And he goes instead to TripAdvisor or Viator and books there. You see, what happened is he went to Patrick's website and Patrick's website treated Jim like it was a brochure. So Jim read it and saw, okay, a little bit of information. But he went to Viator and instead of it being like a brochure, Viator became like an online branch. Many of you probably have brochure websites. And in 2025, that is not wise for your business. That is going to set your business back because it means that when they see the information, they still have to reach out to you to do business. A branch website does business for you. So, very practically, a brochure website says, these are our products. this is how much it might cost, but that's all it does. What you need to be looking at is a website that's a branch, one that works for you while you're sleeping, one that performs sales, so it can take the credit card, just like somebody who's at the front desk. It can follow up with stakeholders, just like your best salesperson. Call them on their birthday, call them on their anniversary and say, hey, how are you? Hey, you haven't purchased from us in 4 months. Is everything okay? You know, I know that you love the last set of earrings you bought from us, but we actually have a new style that you can try at half off. Your website needs to be doing that for you. Customer support and knowledge base. If somebody has questions in a real life scenario, I don't know if you've ever called like an insurance agency and realized that the person you're talking to is not the person you really need to be talking to, it's the manager you're trying to get to. And you have to wait on the phone and then you speak to the manager and then it gets resolved in 2 minutes. Let your website be like that. Instead of them having to try and contact you, how about they go to the website and all the information about your business is there? How about they ask questions to the website, like how do I file a claim? And it answers them instead of them having to call you at 11:59 p.m. I mentioned already that your website should be able to complete transactions. Very important, right? Your website needs to be able to take sales. Transactions aren't always purchases like credit card purchases. A transaction might be that somebody is signing up to be a volunteer at your summer camp next week, and you need to give them an automatic email saying these are what you need, right? These are the things that you need to have, right? Let it complete transactions on behalf of you. It needs to do data analysis on your past customers so that you can see what it's like interacting with this customer for the last 3 years. You can see that they've been an excellent customer or a poor customer, and you can start to do things like recognize your niche. So imagine you could see in your data that the people that you work best with, if you remember from last week, that audience analysis, you can see that your highest sales come from women who live in Cherry Gardens who are 35 to 55. And your lowest sales come from another group of persons. You can say, okay, well then maybe I'll just focus my marketing efforts there. Your website is supposed to be getting ready to tell you that information as soon as you have a question. And it must include a CRM. It must include the data on past interactions with your brand that somebody has done, past events they've signed up for, past bookings that they've done with you for online sessions. Your website is supposed to be doing all of that, just as if you had a physical branch that people went into and they did business with. Right? I want you to just imagine it. Imagine that you had this branch, this digital branch, where people went in digitally as if it was physical. They never had a delay of service. The credit card was taken quickly, right? They got the product or service almost immediately. They got the answers to their questions without waiting in line. Just imagine it as if the KFC special happened, the 50th anniversary special happened, and everybody got the 2-for-1 deal 1 second after arriving at KFC. Just imagine that. A miracle, I know. I don't know that could be possible, but just imagine the quickness of service that somebody could get if your website is treated as a branch and not a brochure. I really do want to encourage you guys to look towards that in whatever way you can, because your website is supposed to be working for you, not against you in 2025. We had a client who they had an old website, and a bad website can hurt your brand. You know, I shared this last year, but there's a saying, the twinkling of an eye. There's a research study that says that people make an impression of your brand in 0.05 seconds, right? So that twinkling of an eye actually comes from the Bible. There's actually a verse that speaks of a twinkling of an eye. Not 0.5 seconds, you know, guys. 0.05 seconds. It means they hit your website and they immediately say, this place is advanced and this is where I want to do business, or maybe not. And that's what was happening with our client. Their previous website was not even representing their brand well, and a badly formatted website with an outdated design can do that. And when it looks like that, how much they want to do business with you as opposed to a competitor goes down. So we were tasked with them to build one that did the opposite. Right? So we had one that was redesigned, had people on it, right? Their actual people were on it. their team members. It talked about the different things it offered. And it started to work for them. It started to bring in leads for them. People were signing up online to get information about mortgages, about car loans. The truth is you still only have that short window. And just like a badly formatted website can damage the brand, a well-designed website will build your brand. Now, let's say some of you have branding budget in your head, right? And I'll come back to some of those RW, some tools that you can use. One of the things that we've done is we've done landing pages. Now, a landing page will be less than a website for sure because it's one page. And a landing page is not a home page, right? Don't mix up the two. So a landing page allows persons to see a campaign that is dedicated to one thing and one thing alone. For Jamaica Inn, who was our client a couple of years ago, they had a weddings campaign, a destination weddings campaign, where people could come to the site, do business, actually request an inquiry, and get information back from one of their sales reps once they got to the list of information. And it was just a single page. It's a landing page. So the difference again, landing page is focused on one campaign. A home page is typically the first page that they hit on your website, but the landing page is dedicated to the campaign. And that's something that we can do for you as well. For them, we collected as much information as their sales rep would have needed, bride's name, groom's name, but also where they're coming from and their expected budget. Very important. And over the couple years that we have had this page up, the total value of potential weddings that we've seen is over 1.1 million US, just from this lead form of people saying, I want to come to Jamaica to do my destination wedding. And that's a landing page, 1.1 million US. Now the onus, I mean, at Telligent, our job is to get you the business in the door, right? That's what advertising is. They still have to call them and, do the conversion part. But that's why I said, don't be branding. Focus on your business, right? Do what you are supposed to do and that you're a specialist at, and let us just get you this registration, the leads, so that you can do business with it. So before I go into the last part, right, I want to mention something I mentioned earlier, which is that we do have a giveaway. I spoke to my CEO and I said, what can we actually give away? And I mentioned some of that real content. Well, we do have an in-house studio in Kingston. And so for one of the businesses on the call, we're actually very interested in shooting a full promotional video for you for free. When you come in. And all I'm going to ask you to do is recap what we talked about today. And then if I can get a couple recaps, afterwards, what I'll do is work with Sansia just to send out to the winner who you are. And we'll invite you in, you'll come into the studio. If you're doing products, you can bring your physical products. We have some very good cameras that will capture that for you. And we'll use B-roll to fill it in. And if it's a service, which we've done in the past, you'll come in and describe your service. But I would just love to hear from some of you just a bit of what we discussed today, in terms of the importance of your of your branding.
I see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sahari Robinson
Please, Sahari.
already has her hand up. So I'm gonna say, if you are interested in participating for the giveaway, just put up your hand because we want to hear
Yes.
what we want. We don't want the recap in writing. We want to hear it. All right, so I'm gonna start with Sahari and then we come down the line. So Sahari, go ahead and okay. So Sahari is on the floor.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we started off by looking on the complexity of our customers, the different characteristics. We spoke about what is a trend, and it's not just hopping on a trend, but analyzing, is this trend in line with my brand? Is this in line with in what I'm doing? Key to note, we have positive trends and negative trends. We spoke about web development, right? Well, that came later down. But going back up, we spoke about ads, right? Advertisement and not overwhelming on the jump with too much information. The key is to get their attention, to take them around the corner. We spoke about the CTR, analyzing your click rate.
Yeah.
The search engine optimization, and interestingly, the answer search engine option. So we were encouraged to utilize both.
Okay.
We looked at apps and knowing when to use apps, if your business is going to go offline, and based on their usage rate. We mentioned videos, and lastly, website, that your website is not just for information, but you want it to be transactional, to complete transactions without you necessarily being there or without them having to contact you.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember.
Man, nice. All right. Thank you, Sari.
All right, thank you, Sahari. Just to say, the last person that we're gonna take is Jamie Winter Hewitt, and we have just a few minutes left to go. So please try to make it as succinct as possible. Lorna, it's over to you.
Thank you. We looked at business trends, fundamentals. Why are we in business? Key trends in purchasing, building a branch, and the next steps. We looked at trends that are advertising. If they're getting as much information from what we are in business for. The attention span is very short. So when we put something out on a billboard, we don't want to crowd it out with too many graphics because of the short attention span. We want to get them for the very short time that they have. Progressive disclosure, not too many graphics, and make it easy for your clients to make a quick and easy decision. And free tool, we talk about the SEO and the AEO, the keywords that are so paramount and for people to find you when they go to your website and or just Google, when they go to Google and wanting to find a specific service. Those keywords are very important. We looked at apps, not necessary if you are sending frequent pop-up reminders. So it's not necessary that you want to have an app, but if you have a website, you have the landing pages. Those are different venues or avenues that you can use. Video content, make it genuine. Don't be pretentious. Use real information because you want to be credible in your business. That's something people can see and trust you and like you and do business with you. We mentioned the Clubhouse. So Clubhouse was one of those apps that came around during the pandemic, and it was short-lived because it didn't give much information for interaction. So that died quickly. So be as genuine as you want to be. The websites, we look at the giving complete information, not just some information and leave the clients wanting more. They want to come and be able to click through to a successful. You made the analogy with I think it's Jamaica Inn. All the information was there, or even when the person had to go to search for oh my gosh, Trivago maybe, and to search to get all the information because they did want to book somewhere in Jamaica, but that website wasn't provided. We looked at the different kind of websites or the persons we can use. The Brandon, who's your do-it-yourself, was not necessarily focusing on the business at hand because he was doing so much and it would strain in the business. We looked at Frank, the freelancer, who you may hire him full-time, but he call at any time, does not have the capital to hire more people. The Deborah, who's a dedicated developer, can't communicate price correctly, but she's a good person to have as well. We also looked at the ad relevant. They do have the capacity. They do have the staff with the expertise, but their
Yeah.
price can be a little bit higher. So where are we going to go, the brochure or the branch? So the branch is more visible and advisable to do business with. And I think that was what I got from it. I hope I got through today. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorna. Moving to Davia. Davia Hines, please go ahead. Davia,
Are you hearing me?
you
Yes.
have suddenly started to break up.
Oh,
All right,
Keep going.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah.
so instead of doing a full separate, I can, found some of the parts that were missing so we made the main takeaway. So we started with the biology business and the study started with like the one line.
Okay, hold on, David. Not hearing you. If you can fix your mic, we'll come back to you. But I want to make sure what you're saying is what we covered. 'Cause I can't hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so we move to Nikisha. Nikisha Johnson, go ahead. Right, go ahead.
Hi, afternoon. So some of the key takeaway points that I got out of this session, which was very interesting because it's one of the things that I struggle with as a small business owner, is that first you look at what is a trend, and not all trends are for everyone. So you need to know what your goal is and how does it align with your brand before you choose to do a particular trend. TikTok is not something for every business, depending on what you are doing, the type of business that you have, and how it will, how you want to reach persons, because not everyone within a particular age range, or price range, if it's luxury item or not, would particularly be on TikTok. So you need to know what it is that you are bringing and who your niche is. Online ad. So online ad compared to a billboard ad is different. For a billboard ad, you will see mostly text information, maybe a little graphics, because you are trying to capture the person's attention and at a short space in time. Online ad, you don't need to complex it with a lot of text, because the 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 the, the drive or the traffic is different. So you want person to come to your website or your business to get the information rather than see it, click, and pass. So we don't overwhelm our graphics with our online ads with a lot of text in it. And the CTR analyzes your quick click rates. Then I learned that there is progressive disclosure, which is quick action that can take will make it easier for your customer to participate or to stay on your website. So if there is something that calls them to take action, that is what progressive disclosure is. Google Search Console. This allows you to track the number of searches that you get based on your website on Google, and it's free. And that in itself is considered search engine optimization, which is shortened for SEO. And then now there's a new thing called AEO, which is answer engine optimization, which answers your questions or answers the customer's questions at the same time without you having to get up out of your bed at 11:59 in the night to respond to a customer and that might drive them away. So the AEO is the answer engine optimization. And oh,
I mean,
it was,
you're
it
doing
was
well.
a lot. It was a lot, and I made
Yeah.
notes.
No,
So you,
I'm glad you made notes. Maybe just
yeah.
for time, maybe you can tell me one thing that stood out that you might apply.
All right. So one thing that stood out is the understanding of the difference between landing page and a home page on your website. So
Okay.
all along I thought when you see that campaign comes up on a website, that's the home page. Now I learned that that's not the home page, but it's specific for a particular campaign that you're having, and your home page should be different from that particular page. So that is one of the main things I learned from this. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Nikisha. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
No,
thank you, Nikisha. We're moving to Shireen Thompson.
yeah. And I think maybe because the recaps have been so good, you can also summarize the recap, but then tell me one thing that you are thinking to apply.
Okay, thank you for that information. So in summary, I came in late just to mention. So when I came in, I heard about the different trends that were happening and that not every platform suited every business or every product. So we need to be careful as to when choosing which platform to be on. We also spoke about the different things as it related to the search engine and the AEO and the difference that it made to see if the words, the keywords that are put in, that they will stand out and bring your business to the forefront or to answer the question. One of the things that stood out for me, because I didn't know about it, was the AEO. The fact that you had something that you could directly ask a question and you get a response, but then you have to be careful too as to how you ask the question to see if your business will come up. However, if your business didn't come up, there is an opportunity right there to ensure that you can now be visible and be there for everyone or persons who will be asking this question to see. In short.
No, excellent summary. And it sounds like you're going to pay a little more attention to that to see how you can rank.
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely.
Thank you, Shireen.
All right, thank you, Shireen. Moving on to O. Barrett. Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, hearing you.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. This was a great presentation. So my takeaway, I wrap everything in. We need to understand our brand. We need to understand our niche or target customers. We need to make decisions between what we do and what we delegate. And today really gave us the tools to figure out how we do all of that. You talked about the customers, you talked about the trends. Understanding of our brand, of course, will help us to know, do we jump on a trend or not? You talked about ads and making that distinction between getting their attention with just enough information to make them make a decision, but not too much to distract them. And we went into a subtext around pricing, whether we post or not. Then you went into websites and just understanding, again, the pros and the cons of it, but some of the free resources like the search engine, Google Search Console, Uber Suggest, which would allow us to also check keywords that is driving traffic to our competitors, which I found very interesting. The importance of that call to action again, progressive disclosure, again, how much information we're putting. But then the SEO, AEO one was really a game changer for me because while I've been noticing the AEO, I wasn't sure what was driving the AEO. So that was really interesting for me to learn about this morning. And then you talked, of course, about the difference between the brochure versus the branch website, which again, just fits into that whole aesthetic around we're not going to be available 24 hours. So how much work can we get that website to do for us? So having all the additional features, analysis, including the CRM and so forth, really helps us to maximize what the website can do for us. You then went into the apps. But that stat that you shared was really critical for me because I have thought about apps before. 30 apps per device, but 0 new apps per month being added. And so do you really need an app? Perhaps not, unless you're going to bring something distinctive like personalizing it for persons. And then another tool you mentioned, of course, was the videos, but just underlining and underscoring that, look, people want real, they don't just want polished. And the final thing, of course, you made the distinction about the difference between the landing page versus the full website. And again, all of it just connects back to who we are as a company, that brand, what is it, who we are targeting as our niche, and understanding how the tools can help us to decide between what we do and what we delegate. Thank you.
Please.
Wonderful.
That makes it.
Excellent.
So we're gonna move. I
Christopher,
mean,
you're
if you
gonna
have
have
some.
a hard time selecting one.
No, that's not true. We
Ah,
are going down.
No, we're
But
not.
before we move on, please,
Ah,
your name says O Barrett. Please just introduce yourself in the chat. It's the first time I'm hearing from you. Just mention your business as well.
all right.
Yes.
All right, Jamie. Jamie Winter Hewitt. Over to you.
Thank you very much. We started off with a warm up by sharing why we're in business, and I found that rather informative. Then we looked at our brand, and I had so many takeaways, but I just want to pinpoint this one because my brand for my business is a chimp. And I remember when I was going through and we were doing the social media posts, I used to just put a little chimpanzee in the post, and my business partner said, listen, people are going to associate that with your brand. So we can't use a random chimp. We have to use this chimp so that in the future, whenever people see a chimp, the orange chimp that we have on our website, they will know that it is Tutor Chimp. So thank you for that. We also looked at trends. What is it? And we take into the consideration the needs of the business when we're looking at trends. And we have to use the right social media platform to market the business because a lot of younger folks use TikTok. And I was thinking about myself, who is much older. I'm not a TikTok fan. I use it for the business, but if I'm trying to reach an audience, I have to bear in mind the type of social media that particular audience will be using. Then we also looked at advertisements, looking at digital versus billboard. Our digital ads should not have a lot of text. It should be rather easy, simple for people to understand. And this was another takeaway, which was the search engine optimization and the answer engine optimization. And I didn't know what it was whenever time I went into Google. I typed something in, I always saw an AI response. I just thought this was Gemini responding. But now I understand that it is, in fact, an answer engine optimization and how I can capitalize on that by using more keywords. And this ties in with SEO as well, using more of those keywords on my website. We looked at how the keywords and the Google search console along with Uber Suggest to view the website traffic. And wrapping up, we looked at websites versus the landing page versus the home page, and also the pros and the cons of using an app. Thank you.
Yeah. No, well said. Thank you, Jamie. And just to make sure it's clear, it might be Gemini under the hood, especially for Google. It might actually be Gemini that they're using to get the answer together. So you are on point with that they're using under the hood to give you the answer.
All right, great. Davia, I'm checking on you to see if you had a chance to fix your audio. If you did, just stick back up your hand so that we can get your summary. But I'm going to, okay. All right, go ahead, Davia.
Mic check 1, 2.
Much
It's
better.
a lot clearer. Wonderful.
Okay, perfect. So, instead of doing a summary, like you had mentioned, I will just say what stuck out to me the most.
Yeah.
So, from this session, it really stuck with me. The one-liner for why we do business, solving problems at a profit. And specifically, like when we got into it, something that really stuck out to me was like when you're capitalizing on trends, it's important to know your audience, a little bit of the groundwork that we did from last week. So we can make sure that we only hop onto trends that cater to our audiences. And not only trends, but how we reach our audience as well during using what platforms. And something that really opened the session really opened my eyes to was for ads on social media. I was very guilty of, information overload, trying to make sure that everything is available at first glance. But like something that you said that really drove the point home is that interested persons will want to know more.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that. I was just trying to make sure that everything is available, but interested persons will want to know more. So once the basics are there, they'll know where to click or where to open or where to go to find out. And leading into that, like I'm getting to grasp also that the website is where they will need to have access to everything. So all the information should be there. And especially with what we learned about SEO, I'm definitely going to be combing through my product descriptions to make sure that the words I'm using are the words that people are going to be using when they are searching or looking stuff up. And in terms of trends, something that really stuck out to me as well. I thought we were going to be talking about TikTok's trends and trending audios, but the tools that you showed us to find out what people are searching and what people search before they get onto our website helped me to understand that it's not just, those fun little trends, but also trends of what people are looking for. So that definitely helped me to get a better understanding of how to get more traffic to my website, with the SEO as well as the AEO, which is completely new to me. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Davia. And since RW, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do your summary, but give us a short introduction as well, because you never spoke before, so we don't have any information on your business.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes. Yes,
Hi.
go ahead.
Good day, everyone. My business is Row Wheel Safety Supplies and Training. We supply top quality PPE and other safety gears to industrial companies and other workplaces. So hard hats, steel toe shoes. We also provide training in confined space, fall protection, improving the safety culture in a workplace, anything having to do with safety, workers' well-being and health while engaged in work. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, proceed.
All right, awesome. So today was a very informative session. I am happy that I saw the ad on Instagram and signed up. We spoke about the type of audiences and knowing your audiences. We also spoke on trends and not just hopping on every trend that there is, but hopping on trends that will achieve our overall goals, and also knowing the platforms that we utilize, because not every platform is suited for every business. Then we went on, the presenter spoke about advertisement, and the types of ads. So we don't want to make our graphic ads too wordy with a lot of information. We want to do something called progressive disclosure, where we gradually give them the information, not overwhelm them at once, because this might cause the audience to leave and go somewhere else. Also, put the pertinent information in the middle of the page, not closer to the end, because based on where they're viewing the ad, it might be on a computer or a cell phone or even a TV. If it's not centered, then you might cut off some of the pertinent information if it's close to the edges of the page. We then went on to speak about search engines, and you mentioned two useful tools that we can use, keyword research tools the Google Search Console as well as Uber Suggest, and I will be utilizing these in my business. And it gave us the example of the mainstream Rosal Great House, and how that was used to, give persons an idea of what people are looking for relating to that topic.
Yeah.
I learned something today with the AEO. I've always known about SEO, but answer engine optimization, I've seen it a lot. I did not know the term for it. Now I know. And it's useful. And in combination with the SEO, we want to ensure that our business is showing up in the AEO part of our Google.
Absolutely.
Then you went on to speak some more about some websites and using. We can use Canva for some of our websites. We can use Linktree, but we don't want our website to be a brochure, high and dry and with just the bare information and that's it. We want to make it more of a branch, informative, full source options for people to either make purchases online if they want to, or to sign up to learn more or to register here. We want to give them options, not just brochure format. The CRM features that you mentioned, very useful in terms of we need to have all of these on our website to get the most out of our audience. Our website should also be properly formatted. It should be catchy and accurate information displayed. And some persons might not need an app for their business. The app is not for everybody. The app is needed if you have to work offline or if there's some sort of personalized sign up type of, and then you may need an ad. But that ad is not necessary for every app. Sorry, is not necessary for everybody. And you went on to mention that we have about 30 apps on our phone, but we don't download new apps per month. And that is so true. I haven't downloaded a new app in a long time. And then you closed off with mentioning landing pages versus home page, and you gave us the perfect example of the Jamaica Inn, utilizing the landing page to target a specific audience, which is getting persons to use their destination for weddings. And you told us that they had revenues of over $1 million USD. So it's beautiful, and I will also utilize the landing page. For example, if I'm targeting a fall protection training for the this quarter of the year, then I'll create landing pages that are specific to fall protection and geared towards just fall protection to get that clientele or get that audience in. So I appreciate this session, JBDC, Mr. Christopher, and everybody, and all the persons who also gave their input. It helped me a lot, and thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to make sure, because it's, I want to make sure it's accurate. Potential revenues, they still have to close the leads, the 1.1 million. But outside of that, that was excellent. So please put your name in the chat. I don't want to call you R, but R and everybody else who just spoke, thank you. And I'm going to ask you to fill out this form that I've just sent in the chat, so we have your contact information in case you're the winner.
And those are just the persons that presented a while ago. So
I have your
Jamie.
name. Yeah.
Okay, all right, great to have the names. Fantastic. All right, go ahead and wrap, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. So we've spoken about a lot. That is apparent to me as well. But what I'm happy about is that you have something that you can apply. Different things stood out to different persons, which is good because you're at different stages in your business, especially with your digitization. Now, I mentioned it in the last one, but we have direct consulting if you're already beyond 1 million GMD of monthly top line revenue. So if it's gross, definitely we'd love to have a direct call. You could actually come into the office and we sit down and meet with you. But let's say you've reached a point where you said, boy, we do need our own website. Oh, and again, these book recommendations, take a quick glance because they are very highly recommended books that I've read. But typically, what we talked about can be like 2.5. So the video production can be very expensive. 2.5 is not expensive. So it can be up from 2.5, especially for a full-length video. The advertising can be $2,000 to $3,000 per month. And a landing page for us starts at 1500 US. That's very low. If it's just a landing page for us. Because you are here and many of you are making the push to go digital, let's say you have decided that you don't want to be branding, right? Which I highly recommend, not the person to be right now. We do have an offer called a value package. We had offered it last year and we're bringing it back for this call. If you are interested, please reach out. I'm going to put the contact information just in general in the chat. But if you are interested in the value package, you will get 6 weeks of ads. So we will run the ads for you. We'll do the research into your target audience, drop it on where they are. We'll design a landing page for you for that campaign. So if it's a service you're promoting, an event that you're promoting, and you want 300 people to sign up, we'll actually do that for you and we'll shoot the video. And you'll come into the studio as well. Plus, you get a free consultation. So we have a better understanding of your business because it's not cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. But thank you guys for your attention. I hope that regardless of whether you take the value package or not, and this is a good value, if I might say so myself, you would apply some of what we spoke about today so that your business is better after this call. And if it was too much at any point, as JBDC mentioned, the recording will be online. So I'm just going to leave the contact information in the chat, and then Sansia, that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. Another very informative presentation. I mean, I learned so much that I'm going to be applying myself. But thank you so much again for agreeing to share in this session. I think the biggest takeaway for me was the AEO. I've always known about SEO, and I noticed that this was a trend now in terms of when you do a Google search, this information would come up, and I was always saying to myself, okay, so it seems as if Google and AI is just going to take over, and then the SEO will get pushed to the back. But I mean, I guess if you're getting double information, it's not
Yep.
a bad thing after all. So thank you so much for sharing that with us and every other piece of information that you have shared. We also want to thank everyone for participating this morning. And I want to send a special shout out to my newest friend, Mr. Patrick Vassler. I met him yesterday in Trelawney and invited him today. And not only did he come on, but he was also very active in the chat. So welcome, Mr. Vassel, and I hope to see you in another of our sessions whenever we are going to be having the next one at some point next month, but you will get the information when it becomes available. I also want to bring to your attention the fact that I have posted a link. We want to get some feedback from you about today's session. For those who did not participate in the feedback last week, it's not a problem. You can also share it on this form as well because, it would be like a package deal, right? So I want to know, what are your thoughts on the presentations that we've had for last week as well as this week? Again, I want to thank you, Chris, for joining us and thank everyone for joining us as well. And remember, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is go on YouTube and search for JBDC Jamaica. We're also available on all the social media platforms, that is X and LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. So we ask that you subscribe to those channels and then you will be able to access our information. So thank you very much again, everyone. Fill out our form. Chris's contact information is in the chat as well. So before we go, I see Jamie giving some virtual applauses. Please, please give Chris some virtual applauses. Thank you, Shanika. Who else is going to be dropping some applauses? Shari. Onika is celebrating. So is Michelle and Devon and Sarah, RW. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining and do have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, blessings, guys.